Hello and welcome to another series of the Good Design is Good Business webcast Lunch and Learn series. My name is Roger Snook. I am in the Rational Software brand, part of the Worldwide Enablement team, and I am very pleased to introduce today two of our featured speakers, both Jim Amsden, who's a senior tech staff member covering the government industry solutions within Rational, and also Nick Norris, part of our Worldwide Solution Architect team. Today's topic is about industry models and how they can help accelerate software. Our agenda today, we'll just do a brief set of introductions and motivation, and then we'll transition over to Jim and Nick for their respective content, both in, again, the industry models that help accelerate software. You know, if you attended the Innovate 2013 conference, you would have noticed that our customers were the first ones to speak, and it's always great to hear about customer success, and kind of helps us know that we're delivering the right products and services to help our customers really accelerate their software and their business endeavors. And after all, good design is good business. So the design stuff that we're going to talk about today really is helping fuel businesses. And these are some very concrete examples around helping government agencies or major media companies or even a major financial services firm to help accelerate their efforts using any number of the Rational products. In particular, today we're going to talk about some of the design, modeling, architecture tools that we'll talk about today. When we look at a broader success pattern across IBM and how IBM has helped accelerate our customers using industry models, there's a very broad set of customers shown on the screen now that IBM, both within the software group and the services teams, has helped accelerate their efforts and support their business. When we talk about models and blueprinting, really we're talking about an approach to help visualize. And that visualization is really a standard approach that's used in most engineering and construction approaches today to manage the complexity and risk and really get agreement. If you think about just a simple blueprint that can be used to do construction on a house, it really helps coordinate the team and help gain agreement on where things are to be placed within the construction. And then also helps lower the cost of manufacturing or remanufacturing by, again, building those models or blueprints ahead of time to, again, flesh out some of those problems that might be existing once you go into production. When I talk about modeling IT solutions, and we're actually going to see a little bit of taste of both business and technical solution domains here. In the IT solution domain, modeling really helps address a lot of things we just talked about in terms of complexity, but also can help address issues like governance. So as we see our customers do a variety of different types of modeling, modeling can be as simple as just whiteboarding and throwing away some of the designs, really just to flesh out some of the design principles that you're applying to your solution that you're looking to do. And that can then graduate up to some informal modeling using perhaps some presentation tools like we're using today, or some drawing tools to just simply capture some of those artifacts for storage later to refer back to those designs at some point in the future. That can then translate into more perhaps modeling and usage of modeling tools where you can use really more industry standard types of patterns like a UML, Unified Modeling Language, or other similar types of notational standards to help capture that information in a standard way, improve the communication, and then again use tools to capture that information and store that for future use. When expanding on that further, that allows you then to potentially connect some of that information with other parts of your software lifecycle. So you can tie designs to some of the other parts of your software development delivery lifecycle, such as tests and how to do better testing through a better understanding of what your design might be. And then that builds upon further, then taking that ability within your modeling to then provide some more automation and governance. And by automation, it might be something like taking some of your scenario or sequence diagrams and driving that to some test script automation. And then governance, being able to work amongst the team to control how those models are shared within an organization and approved at the various levels of agreement that are required in an organization to produce good results. Now, that was an IT solution, but models themselves are not limited to just IT solutions, and this is just a good example here of what's called a business motivation model. That's a standard that's done at the OMG level, and this particular business motivation model, built with Rational Software Architect, really captures sort of IBM's approach to our business. And while we'd love to be the world's most essential company, this is actually information that really shows up in our annual report. So once you get these slides and download them from the SlideShare or potentially YouTube environments to look at those and review those for later, you'll have some links in here to take you to the annual report to see the textual version of that. But again, the diagram really helps communicate out the simplicity of the design, in this case, again, what IBM's go-to-market model looks like. So that helps us segue then further into another approach for managing the business of government. And with that, again, I'm pleased to introduce Jim Amsden, our senior tech staff member from Rational. Jim?
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to talk to you today about tools, techniques, and some resources that can help address some of today's public sector challenges. This presentation is part of a larger presentation on government by design, which is a concept that applies strategic planning and enterprise architecture management, solution delivery and lifecycle management concepts to government in a form that supports a comprehensive view of the entirety of the businesses that the government is in and the services that agencies and organizations might provide. It introduces a set of tools and techniques and reusable assets to help manage planning and design activities that are needed to meet citizens' needs at a price they're willing to pay. So government by design makes a use of some existing industry assets, such as the MISA Municipal Reference Model. MISA stands for Municipal Information Systems Association. That's an organization of local governments in Canada. They have developed a reference model, and we are using that reference model to address some of the unique challenges of the public sector, and a service design workbench that supports business and strategy modeling, modeling municipal business architecture, that is a service catalog, doing results-based planning and budgeting, performance management, and connecting the business IT architecture for information systems exploitation. So going to the next chart, let's start by looking at some of the key challenges that are motivating the public sector. So government organizations, especially in the last few years, are facing extreme challenges to deliver more services with fewer resources and to maintain or increase service levels with reduced workforce and smaller budgets. And addressing these challenges requires taking a more strategic approach to determining what businesses the government should be in and to what extent they should be in those businesses based on citizens' needs and available revenues. So what governments are looking for is a rational process for planning, budgeting, performance management, and operations that can maximize the outcomes that are available from revenue. This requires the means of capturing and assessing and communicating information about their current environments and for determining, evaluating, and choosing actions that involve their programs and services to achieve the desired results and while managing costs. So going to the next slide, we'll summarize that policy planning and budgeting requires a process in supporting information to address three fundamental concerns. First, you need to determine that you are doing the highest priority things that you need to do in terms of the services that you provide to address citizens' needs. Second, you need to determine what is the most efficient and cost-effective way of delivering those services. And third, you need to find ways to leverage citizens groups, community organizations, private sector, outsourced providers, and so on, to collaboratively work together in a more transparent, effective, and efficient government. So our goal is to provide methods, processes, and tools and reusable assets that enable and foster continuous improvement as a means to facilitate government evolution to meet these changing citizens' needs. These tools and techniques are intended to address both the needs of steerers, that is, those who are addressing the policy domain, having the needs for accountability, planning, and budgeting, as well as the rowers, those that are addressing the functional domain, having the need to improve operations in order to, in combination and collaboratively, do the right things right. So going to the next chart, we'll look at some of the kinds of usages that you can make of this industry asset. We can use these models to capture and document the things that are motivating change in your jurisdiction, whether that's local, state, or federal level government. The results you wish to achieve in response to those influencers, and the strategies that help you support the achievement of those results. And these utilize the same business motivation model that Roger mentioned a moment ago. Then you can evolve your municipal business architecture by designing the programs and services that are going to deliver the required outcomes and achieve the desired results that address citizens' needs. Budgeting for outcomes is a Government Financial Services Association recommended practice for allocating budgets to results that deliver the programs and services that address highest priority citizens' needs within available budgets. You often can't do everything you need to do, but you can always do the best you can with what you've got, and that's what budgeting for outcomes is intended to do. Once these plans are in place and the services are operational, you can use performance management techniques to assess actual performance against target values to drive operational improvements and to inform future strategic plans and activities to close the right performance gaps. So that's also a results-based activity to address different performance gaps against citizens' needs and priorities, so that we're focused on closing the high-value performance gaps and not the ones that don't deliver significant outcomes. And then finally, information technology is becoming more strategic in the public sector as more and more public services involve information services for citizens that rely on IT to deliver other services like intelligent transportation systems and so on. Government organizations can integrate their municipal business architecture with information systems to help identify opportunities to exploit IT for more efficient, cost-effective, and smarter realization of public services, that is, delivering more with less through IT exploitation. These models can also help identify opportunities for IT application consolidation or situations where you could coordinate with other jurisdictions to provide services through outsourced management and/or cost sharing. So in the next chart, we'll take a brief look at a schematic view of what this municipal reference model is. It's a model created by the Canadian government. It's been evolving over the last 20 years, and it defines a language for expressing the relationship between organization units in government as service providers and organizations of target groups and citizens in the community as service consumers. So government organization units are accountable for programs that deliver outcomes that are experienced by these target groups in the community. These outcomes are intended to address needs experienced by the citizens. These programs then administer services that commit to providing the outputs that have direct value to the receiving clients and indirect value through the outcomes they contribute to. Services are then implemented by processes that consume various physical and technological resources. Performance indicators are used to measure how effective the program is at delivering its outcome, how well the services produce their outputs, how well the processes implement the services, or how well the resources contribute to the needs of the consuming processes. Another dimension, projects encapsulate initiatives or plans that actualize initiatives for involving the government enterprise by changing its organizations, programs, services, processes, and resources to deliver the outcomes that address possibly changing citizens' needs. The reference model provides a model of typical municipal programs and services, processes, and resources and outcomes that have been proven through common practice to effectively address specific target group needs. The reference model provides valuable assets that can save years of business analysis work, as well as provide ideas for innovative solutions to specific community needs. Going to the next chart, we'll look at an example of some of the content that's in the reference model. As an example, public health is a program that's intended to deliver improved health as an outcome experienced by both municipal residents and visitors. An outcome is defined as a change in level of need experienced by some target group. So part of the planning process is to determine how we might measure an outcome and precisely what targets we wish to obtain. Those targets are then used to determine service levels and budgeting allocations that are required to produce those service levels. These considerations can lead to a better expression of outcomes, which can help determine what services and programs are required in order to deliver the desired outcomes. The public health program in this example is administered by two services, the Food Premise Inspection Service and the H1N1 Immunization Service. The output of the Food Premise Inspection Service is an inspection report which establishes permission to continue food preparation services. This output has a direct value to food premise owners and operators since it allows them to operate their businesses, and it has an indirect benefit for patrons of the food operation through the reduction in illnesses resulting from improper food preparation. The Food Premise Inspection Service is implemented by a process that includes scheduling the inspection, conducting the inspection, preparing the report, and scheduling any required follow-up according to current laws and regulations. So looking at the next chart, we'll look at how this municipal business reference model might be typically used. So managing any kind of change in an enterprise requires a thorough understanding of its current as-to situation. Changing something that's as complex and often as poorly understood as a city government can often lead to very poor or unexpected outcome and results, which we would certainly like to avoid. So establishing an as-is municipal architecture can be a huge endeavor in its own right, often taking years to complete and possibly being significantly out of date by the time it's actually completed. Municipalities often can't afford to make costly and time-consuming investments in enterprise architecture before they can make decisions about how they're going to address, recent destructions from the latest tornado or flood. However, municipalities can easily instantiate and use the existing municipal reference model and quickly customize it to reflect their as-is municipal model. Using the MRM provides an excellent starting point for developing a municipal model, potentially saving many years of enterprise architecture development effort. It contains hundreds of programs and services. It's based on municipal analysis and best practices that evolved through expert analysis over the last 20 years. And it shows municipalities what a good municipal model looks like and provides a set of guiding principles for evolving the model to meet their community's needs. And finally, it provides a list of candidate programs and services that can be easily mined to address specific needs. And so the typical process is to use the reference model and instantiate it and customize it in your particular environment to create your live business model, and then to collaborate with various stakeholders within the government and the community to understand how that model would need to be transitioned to a 2B municipal model in order to meet business needs. And the result of those transition initiatives are formalized into plans that allocate resources, time, and budget in order to affect the desired results. Skipping to the next chart, we'll look at some of the benefits and summarize what is being offered. So in summary, government by design encompasses a set of methods, tools, techniques, and work product templates that enable you to take a results-driven approach to effective, open, and transparent government to deliver the best results you can with available revenue. These concepts can be organized into 4 broad categories around citizen-centered prioritization, government accountability, cost-cutting optimizations, and results-based planning. On the next chart, you can see some of the benefits to both government organizations and citizens. The primary benefit to government is the methods, tools, and reusable assets to help in the planning what services to provide its constituents at what service levels and assessed by what performance indicators and delivered by what impact that will deliver to the community at a price the citizens are willing to pay and that legislative bodies are willing to approve. The alternative to this is often a government by 1,000 cuts, motivated by threats of punishment or withheld rewards that has little to do with the outcomes that are delivered to citizens and that no one is happy with. So this is a very positive, results-oriented approach to government by design that we hope can actually produce effective results to meet citizens' needs. This is just a broad sketch of the capabilities. I haven't shown you what any of the methods or tools actually look like. And if anyone is interested in further details, we'd be happy to pursue that. Thank you very much. Now I'll hand it over to Nick to look at some reusable reference models and assets in another industry domain.
Thanks, Jim. So I'm going to talk with you and just provide a quick overview of the IBM industry models for financial services, banking, financial markets, and insurance. We'll provide a quick overview. We'll look at a worked example, some of the value prop, customer stories, and then modeling within a broader application lifecycle context. And again, the purpose of this webinar is just to give you an idea and an overview. And if more information is desired, as Jim said, you can contact any of us, and we'd be glad to get together with you and provide the additional information that you're interested in. So IBM provides both banking, insurance, as well as financial markets industry models for the financial services sector. And we're just going to focus in on the banking ones, but the insurance and financial market ones are similar. The banking models are called the IFW models, the information framework, and they consist of a set of interrelated models for different domains of interest. The business modeling domain, the business domain, the service domain, and the data domain. And one of the benefits to the IBM industry models is that they are harvested from decades of work with our clients around the world in this industry. We capture information about banking business functions, business processes, and these models are interrelated. That means that they are connected to each other. So, and not just at a coarse-grained model level, but the constituent parts of the models are connected to each other. So for a given business process, there could be a task in there like retrieve credit score, and that would make a good candidate for automation. And so that is connected to the service model specification, and there's also a service, in turn, a design for that, and the data is also included in that. So you can start to see where if I make a change in one place, the impact or the affected areas in the other domains. Just some metrics about the banking models. They have 501 different business functions and 202 business components. There's over 500 business processes that are comprised of over 2,000 activities and 3,000 events. And for the services, there is over 600 what we call service candidate use cases that are traced back up to the business process model elements, and 41 different components, multiple interfaces defined in operations. And the whole idea with these models is that they serve as a starting point, that they're intended to be used by customers as to be customized and modified to support their particular needs, but it gets you over the blank slate syndrome. It gets people working from a common reference point, a common vernacular, and by using this common set of models. Some of the different areas that are covered with the banking models, the different business domains within banking, you can see on this screen here. And we've highlighted the sales and relationship management domain area, and in there you can see all the different business processes that are associated with sales and relationship management. Again, this is just a quick cursory overview. And when we look at the models and needing to be able to use the models for something other than just looking at them, but actually using them to develop business processes, to be able to develop the services, the data, to be able to deploy those things to runtime environments, you're going to need to modify those models. And here's a look at the way that the models fit with respect to the IBM modeling tools, where Rational Software Architect in blue there supports the business object model, the analysis process models, the interface design model, the service design model, as well as the orchestration process model. These models are delivered by the industry models team as a set of interrelated models, as I mentioned before, and they can all be pulled into RSA. They're delivered in that file format. They can also be pulled into the analysis process model, can be pulled into either Process Designer or BlueWorks Live, which is also from IBM. And that gives, satisfies a different set of stakeholders that want to do process modeling. And there's a different set of capabilities available with those tools. And there's some interchange capabilities that we provide for that as well. The models are also, one of the benefits of using the models is that you're using common semantics, a common language, so that when we talk about a customer, everybody knows what customer means. And so those business terms and related supportive content for those business terms, they are traced down to the process, service, and data models as well, so that you're using this glossary, if you will, and it's actually served out by InfoSphere's business glossary that has a plug-in into RSA so that you can use those glossary terms if you need to be able to modify them or trace them to other parts of your service or business model or data model landscape. To manage the models, the RSA models go into Team Concert's SCM capability, Software Configuration Management, and the BlueWorks Live has its own repository, as does Process Designer, which is part of the IBM BPM or Business Process Management suite of tools. And the InfoSphere Business Glossary utilizes metadata server from InfoSphere. So we've got federated repositories with different editing environments sitting on top of those. And when you want to deploy these into the runtime assets into a runtime environment, we can use WebSphere Service Registry and Repository, WSR as it's oftentimes called and represented on this slide. In order to be able to use these models, customize them to suit them to your organization's needs, typically this is a typical approach. You analyze and modify the business processes. You identify what part of the business process model you need to work on within that business process. Then you analyze it and make changes to it. You identify the automatable tasks within those business processes. You follow the traceability into the service model and identify any changes that might need to be made to the out-of-the-box service specification based on the changes you made in the business process model. And that's true for both the service specification from both a operational, functional point of view, as well as its data or its messaging as well. And that analysis and modification of the service candidate use cases and the data inputs and outputs result in a third normal form data model that's represented as the class model in RSA. And then that in turn is analyzed and modified and captured in the design model, the interface design model as well as the service design model. And then those are used and described with collaboration diagrams, and then they are used to generate the actual WSDLs and XSDs, and it can be used for SEAs and other sort of runtime artifacts or implementation artifacts, I should say. Because we're focused in on RSA, we'll just include and highlight a couple of the steps that show some screenshots that, for example, in this business process, there's an activity called Apply Know Your Customer Policy. And that Apply Know Your Customer Policy is a task that is a good candidate for automation. And it's related to the service specification you can see on the right, utilizing UML use case diagramming capabilities. And then you can see the class model or the third normalized form data model on the lower left. And the next step after that, once you have the service specification, the analysis part, then you go into design and specify exactly how it is that you're going to design this service. And you can start to take into account platform dependencies in this case if need be. And here's where you the interfaces are designed, the messages for those operations on the interfaces are defined, and they utilize the elements that are in your analysis model in that specification that you did earlier. Here's just some additional screenshots that show the analysis process model inside of RSA. The business object model, the third normal form class model inside of RSA. And then showing how the business object model flows into the interface design model and the component and objects in that. And the service design model. And in the most recent release of the industry models, they're utilizing both BPM SOA for the process models as well as SOA ML for the service models, and using native RSA transform capabilities for generating WSDLs and XSDs and Java and the like. And here's an example of another type of process model that you can create is what's been characterized or called an orchestration process model. And again, you're using RSA capabilities to be able to create this. And what you do with this orchestration process model is it can then be pulled into your process design environment where you want to target a managed process application or deploy a process app into a managed runtime environment. So, for example, you could be using IBM's business process management suite of tools, process designer and integration designer, to design the process and then to bind the services to that process and then to deploy those out to, for example, WebSphere process server. So there's numerous benefits associated with taking a model-driven approach that have been realized by our customers. In sort of taking an aggregate view of this, there's accelerated time to value, improved productivity, reducing costs, improving operational efficiency and effectiveness, and certainly strengthening the business and technology link, because the business models give the business something to work with and reason and talk about, and it gives the technologists, the solution designers and implementers something to refer back to, and it keeps them focused on making sure that they're satisfying what it is that the business needs that is specified in the business models. There's a number of different drivers for deploying the business models and the service models from IBM, and some of those are highlighted here. And there's a lot of value from taking a model-driven approach to development, reducing the amount of time spent on requirements gathering, process analysis. By using models, you can see significant improvements in a number of different areas across the application lifecycle. There's a number of different customers' success stories that have been made public and are shared at the different conferences, and we just are highlighting some of them here in this presentation. I'm not going to go into the details again. This is something that we can follow up on as desired. Most of these are recognizable names in the financial services industry. And I want to just close up here by showing how the modeling fits into the overall application lifecycle and tooling landscape, where you can see the different IFW models, in this case called out in yellow, and how they are used in the different tools. And we've talked about the modeling tools already, but then what you also see it here is where you can use Requirements Composer, and if you're using Rational Software Architect Design Manager, you can utilize OSLC linking to link the model elements to the requirements. And if you're not, you can always utilize URL linking as well to link Requirements Composer to BlueWorks Live or Business Process Manager process elements. And Team Concert would be used for planning and change and configuration management. Configuration management, that is, for the models that are in Software Architect. And what you see on the screen here is just some screenshots showing the traceability across the different tools that are specialized for different roles. So if you've got a requirements or business analyst that is doing requirements, that's their focus, but they do want to know what work these requirements are associated with and the status of that work with respect to those requirements. So that's where you can see traceability between requirements and planned work items inside a Team Concert can provide value. And you can see how the models can be used to inform and drive this work. You can also see here in this screenshot where we have Software Architect and Team Concert, and what you're looking at is the different work items inside of RTC and that have different tasks associated with them. And when a developer or a modeler gets assigned a task, they can check out the model from RSA, and then any changes that are made are captured. And then when that work assignment is done by the modeler, they can say that the work assignment is complete. And when they check that and then check that model, those model changes back into the configuration management repository. This gives you an audit trail. This gives you greater control of the changes that are being made to the models and the derivative artifacts. And it keeps the entire team working on a common plan. And the same thing is true for testing and quality management, being able to ensure that the services that have been designed and implemented are in fact being tested, and the testers know what's been completed and what services they should actually be testing and what version of the services and where they're located. So just to wrap things up, there's numerous roles involved in a model-driven development lifecycle. There's, of course, numerous different types of models for each of these different roles, because each one of them has a different interest, but there's relationships between them. And there's different tools that are specialized to support each of the roles. But with IBM's tooling, you are able to coordinate and maximize the productivity across the different roles in a team to minimize silos and barriers between the different roles and the artifacts that they produce and consume. Roger, I'll turn it back over to you.
Great. Well, I want to thank all of our attendees today, or thank you if you're listening virtually. Our webcast has now concluded, and if there are any questions or any follow-up, please look for our posting on slideshare.net, and we'll be happy to interact with you there, or send us an email. You can see our email contact information on the slides, or you can reach us on DeveloperWorks, LinkedIn, or any one of the other social media networks. With that, thank you. This webcast comes to a conclusion, and have a great day.